my name's Angela. If you've been watching my videos, thank you so much. If you're new, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. So last week we talked about gift giving traditions around the world to kind of get in the spirit of Christmas. And I mentioned that Christmas was my favorite holiday. And guys, I am so excited. It is 4 days away, Friday, right? 3 or 4 days, something like that. Anyway, super excited. My little one's super excited, very excited to open all the presents. And she hasn't touched a single one, guys. I have like 20 presents up under my tree and she hasn't touched a single present. So proud of her. So this week, we're going to discuss the legend of Santa Claus. And I'm super excited about this. I had lots and lots of fun researching it. It was very interesting, some of the things I found out. So there's some kind of cool stories that I'm going to tell you about Saint Nick. And anyway, so let's just go ahead and jump on into it. So I think everyone pretty much knows that Santa Claus came from Saint Nick. So Saint Nicholas is the whole reason that Santa came to be what Santa is. So it's believed that Nicholas, because he wasn't always a saint, he wasn't always Saint Nicholas, but it's believed that he was born around 280 AD in Patara, which is near Myra, which is Turkey today. Kind of confusing, but that's where it is believed that he was born. So his parents were very wealthy and they were very religious people, and they raised him to be a devout Christian. So when Saint Nicholas was very young, his parents died in an epidemic and they left everything to him. All of their wealth, all of everything was his at that point. And so Saint Nicholas, being who he was and being a devout Christian, he gave everything to people in need. All of the inheritance that his parents left for him, he gave to people in need, which is kind of cool. I don't think that I could do that. You know, I like Christmas and I really enjoy giving gifts and helping people. But man, to give up everything that you have to help people, that's extreme. So much respect for the man. He dedicated his life to serving God, and he was made Bishop of Myra. So remember a few minutes ago, Myra is modern day Turkey, is what Myra is. So he became known throughout the land for his generosity and his love for children. So there was a cool story that I found, and basically, so back in his day, women's fathers had to give a dowry to whoever was going to marry their daughters. So the better the dowry, the more likely that their daughter was going to get married to a good man or a wealthy man, or however you want to look at it. So when there wasn't much of a dowry or there was no dowry at all, women tended to get sold into slavery, which typically women that get sold into slavery are getting sold into prostitution. That was the big backstory to why St. Nicholas did what he did. Mysteriously, on 3 different occasions, there was gold bags that was tossed through the window of these women's houses to cover their dowry. So another story was that they were gold balls, which represented oranges, which are one of the symbols for Saint Nicholas. So kind of cool backstory. Whether it's true or not, I couldn't figure it out if it was true or not, but it was a story that a lot of websites had for St. Nicholas. So I thought it was a cool story, thought I'd throw it out there. So his feast day is celebrated on his death, which was December 6th. So St. Nicholas has his own day that people celebrate, which is kind of cool. And then Santa Claus is Christmas, even though Santa Claus came from St. Nick. They're 2 different days. So St. Nicholas first kind of started to come to America towards the end of the 18th century. So in December of 1773 and then again in 1774, a New York newspaper reported that groups of Dutch families had gathered in honor of the anniversary of his death. So that's kind of when he first showed up in America, which is kind of cool. He didn't start here, he started in Turkey, which is kind of cool. And so the name Santa Claus, so it evolved from his Dutch nickname, okay? So St. Nicholas's Dutch nickname was Sinterklaas. Klaas. I don't really know how you say it. It's like Klaas. So a shortened form of Sint Nicolaas, okay? So, and that in Dutch was St. Nicholas. So kind of cool. So the Dutch are credited with transporting the legend of Santa Claus, so Sinterklaas, to New Amsterdam. So New Amsterdam is what is now New York City, along with the custom of giving gifts and sweets to children on his feast day, which is December 6th. So little bit of backstory on who he is. So a cool fact that I found, so he wasn't actually this holly jolly white bearded big man that wore a red suit. That wasn't really who he was. He was a saint. He probably wore typical things that saints wore, you know? But the current depiction, so who Santa Claus is now, is based on images drawn by cartoonist Thomas Nast for Harper's Weekly beginning in 1863. Thomas Nast, he got his description of who Santa Claus was and what he looked like. So obviously Santa Claus was Saint Nick, but coming up with an appealing look for Santa that people were like, ooh, this is cool, this is neat, was actually originally formed from 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So kind of cool. And actually, so Coca-Cola, if you look back, there is a picture of Santa Claus drinking a Coke. And so Santa Claus kind of, those two things were the big things that put Santa Claus out there, that kind of was like, hey, here's Santa Claus, here you go, here's what he looks like, here's your holly jolly man. And so the last thing that I found, which I thought was super neat, so in my last video, I talked about how Krampus, so there was a movie that came out, I didn't watch it because I don't really like scary movies, but there was a movie that came out about Krampus. It was the like dark side of Christmas, like the opposite of Santa Claus, and he was mean to naughty children, I guess, or something like that. Anyway, so he is actually part of the original story of Santa Claus. Kind of cool. So a little bit of backstory on Krampus. He was half goat, half demon monster that punishes misbehaving children at Christmas time. He is the devilish companion of St. Nicholas. So whereas Santa Claus or Saint Nick from Turkey, it is believed that Krampus originated from Germany. So kind of cool that the original like Santa Claus story originated from two different places. Like it wasn't just, oh, Saint Nicholas, plop, here you go. So he originated in Germany, Krampus did, and his name derives from the German word Krampen or claw. So, while St. Nick rewards kids with candy and treats and all this nice stuff, Krampus, kind of messed up, guys, Krampus beats those who are naughty with branches and sticks, okay? And so, on December 6th, this is where the story kind of differs for Santa Claus versus St. Nick. On December 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day, children awaken to find either gifts or to mend the wounds inflicted by Krampus. So, anyway, I thought that was neat. I thought there was some cool stuff in there. So, Now I'm just gonna read 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and if y'all want to stay tuned in, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna post pictures from my Christmas party that I went to. It was lots of fun, got to see a lot of people that I really love and care about, and I'll post some pictures of Krampus and of the Coca-Cola Santa and kind of the original pictures of Santa. So anyway, I hope that you all enjoyed this, and I hope that you learned something. You know, I really enjoy watching fun videos where I learn something. So I hope that you guys learned something, and I hope you guys have an absolutely wonderful Christmas, and stay tuned for It 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, guys. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new-fallen snow gave a lustre of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment he must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they met with an obstacle, mount to the sky, so up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkling I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry! His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night."